Hi,
Hi.
everyone. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you, John, for the intro. Let me just share my screen. I have a little presentation prepared for everyone. So great. Well, this is the first Tenant Satisfaction Summit. I'm super excited to have all of you here, and we have hit 1,000 attendees that you can network with and join during the day. So I'm super thrilled that there's so many people that believe into this concept and are joining us today. And I think like the best way to start this is to give you a bit of context on why we actually started the Tenant Satisfaction and what led to this conference. And the whole story starts about 30 years ago when I was born in Vienna, and I lived my entire childhood there until I actually decided to leave Vienna and start studying in Milan. And for me, that was kind of like the starting point to explore the world and also see how different cultures are handling, how we live and what kind of quality we have there. So for the people that don't know Vienna too well, it's actually voted the most livable city in the world for the 10th year in a row. And, we've been covered in many big publications. And the thing is that at that time when I grew up, I didn't really care about that, right? I took it for granted. I was used to the way how we do things at home. And I just, And so after living in multiple countries in 2017, I finally made my dream come true. To relocate to London. I joined a small company back then called Revolut. And, since then, I love London. I've been here for nearly 4 years. And, it's one of the most exciting and vibrant cities in the world. The thing that I noticed, though, is that, the standard of living that I was used to and I considered the norm isn't the standard of living that everybody is experiencing everywhere in the world. And so Tony and I believe that everybody deserves to experience the same standard of living, that everybody should have, a home where they can relax and, regenerate, as well as, spend, the most precious time. I mean, if you think about it, like a home is our biggest expense and probably the place where we spend most of our time on Earth. And so what we started thinking is we all used to that seamless customer experience that companies such as Uber, Airbnb, Amazon, and Revolut provides us with. So whether it's me looking for a ride or when I need new furniture, or, if I just need to do my banking, I can do everything through an app and it's simple and secure. So that's why in 2019, Tony and me decided to quit our jobs to build software to bring the same seamless customer experience to renting a home. And we believe together with you, we can achieve that dream that everybody has this experience in the future and everybody has a very high standard of living. So what's actually tenant satisfaction? Well, I think from my point of view, the definition that I like the most comes from consumer products and tech. And it is basically like a measurement that determines how happy a customer are with a company's product, services, and capabilities. So in a way, like as a tenant, you're the customer of a landlord or an agent. And so what should be measured is like how happy is the tenant with the service provided? Like what can be done to improve the service for them? And how can we constantly innovate and provide with new innovations, a better quality of life? And then, we can do this by talking very frequently to the customer, by creating surveys and ratings, as well as monitoring the data that arises from people using the platform. But in order to really have an accurate view of, how happy a tenant is with, services or the condition of a property, we need to be able to track more of these metrics, and we need to bring the whole renting experience online. So if we now look at the holistic view, the way people rent is changing, right? People have new expectations, not just because of COVID, but because there's a new generation of people, a younger generation of people coming that is, born and raised with smartphones. And these people have very high expectations of what needs to be done nowadays, like what a good experience is nowadays. So people value customization, right? If I order my outfit or shoes, like not everybody's dressed the same way, right? So why should we live in the same way? We value constant improvements. People nowadays are not very patient. We constantly want to see the new big thing and a new innovation happening. And so it's the same in the home, right? There's constantly something we can improve and make better. People nowadays are also very service oriented, whether this is, for example, cleaning service or, furniture delivery, anything that makes a life easier for a resident and basically saves them time is greatly appreciated. And then, we also expect somehow, instant responses. We're used from Instagram, Facebook, and various communication channels that, like there's not too much need for waiting, and we're not trained to be very patient. And so, everything that I just mentioned, like we always want to have instant, right? And if it takes a day to have something resolved or responded, we feel bad about it. So, but this is not the only thing that's changing, right? So if you go back in time, I haven't lived before the 1990s, but like what I remember is like, the homes back then, they were very, like let's say basic, right? It was, people need shelter and we provide people with a home. Like a lot of the interior of a property was usually empty. You had very old boilers that often, the tenant had to renovate or refurbish or even buy. And then often like homes didn't have kitchens and any amenities. I think, like over the years into more the 2000s, what happened is like we saw a lot more refurbished homes. So, having a new floor, having a new bathroom, these sort of things. And I think in the last decade, we actually had, this Airbnb experience everywhere, that you have a fully furnished home where I can just move in and don't need to worry about the rest. And I think, what is coming in the next decade is that we have much smarter personalized homes, so that I can literally configure what I expect from a home, what kind of, interior style I like to have, what amenities I like to have, what services I like to have, all from an app, so that when I move in, everything is perfectly set up. And to show you like how big of a change that will be, I would like to show you how, for example, the current experiences if you're renting a short-term place. I mean, I took Airbnb as an example, but there's many more, whether this is service living operators or student accommodations. So often, like let's say you book a holiday or you have a business trip. It's super easy nowadays to go on Airbnb, put in the address where you want to stay and like the duration of your stay. Select one of the properties, click a button to reserve it, finalize your booking details, and then get the confirmation that you can actually move in with additional info on like where the property is, how to contact the host in case there's any issues. And that whole experience is like very holistic. It's simple and it's very secure, right? I don't need to send documents over email, or I don't need to do weird payments. If we now look at renting a home, and that experience is not exactly the same. So this is actually my own experience renting a flat literally a month ago. I've rented it from one of the biggest agencies in the UK. And so the first thing that I realized is, since I was still in Vienna, I needed to rent a place online. I couldn't, with COVID and all the travel restrictions and, quarantine, I couldn't just, come to the country, take an Airbnb and then try to rent something. And so basically, like, I found a place on Rightmove, I think, or Zoopla. I reached out to the agency. I got a response via WhatsApp, I think a few hours later. And in the end, like, just, scheduling the viewings, sorting out the contract details and move out required me to do 21 emails, 142 WhatsApp messages, 15 phone calls, and various documents that have been sent through WhatsApp, email, that weren't really secure. For example, like, I needed to verify my passport 3 times. And I always had to send a picture of my passport via email, which is, not something, like, I really appreciated that I had to do. And then, that's not everything, right? So that whole process took multiple days. I didn't have confirmation until I think 5 or 6 days later. And when I wanted to move in, there wasn't too much guidance on, like, how I do get my move-in reports, how my deposit is protected, what steps are required, how can I see all my letting documents, for example, my contract or my payments, as well as, I didn't know how to contact actually the agency in case something goes wrong, right? I had, I think, 5 or 6 different phone numbers. I had 7 different emails. It wasn't very straightforward for me. So what we are building at Kiko is a very simple experience for everyone. We want to bring that Airbnb experience to long-term residential renting. So effectively transforming your own website into a modern booking platform where tenants can rent a place in less than 3 minutes and get instructions on how they can move in, as well as everything in regards to their stay. And as a result, we can provide landlords and property managers with modern tools that give them insights about the happiness of their tenants and things that could be improved, as well as an overview of the core metrics of their business. And so, all this got me more thinking, and I've done more research. And there's a few key metrics I want to highlight with you. So, for example, there's a survey, a landlord survey from 2019, and it basically surveyed multiple, I think a couple of thousand tenants all across the UK about like what they think or what they value in renting a home the most. And almost 80% of the tenants want issues dealt with quickly and efficiently. And it goes even further that the majority of tenants want to have a resolution time of less than a day. And like there's nowadays so many great companies that we will see during the day in various panels and breakout sessions that will show you how you can actually achieve that with your current setup. The next one, which is super interesting, is that over 40% of all tenants would pay a premium for services like cleaning and utilities. So to go back on my experience, when I moved into this new flat, I didn't have cleaning gear. I didn't have a drying rack. There was still some furniture missing. And also like all the utilities I had to set up. And like all of this takes actually quite a long time to do research. It takes a long time to, just fill out all the forms, pay everything. And like what I would have expected or what I would have dreamed for is like, that I can do a couple of clicks on an app and the rest is, done for me. No effort, super convenient. And, when I move into my new flat, I don't need to do everything else anymore. Then the other thing is, like that actually tenants are, or what's surprising is that like nearly 1/3 of all tenancies end because tenants are not happy with the service they received or the property condition. And I think that shows that, like, tenants generally don't want to move every year or two, but they have higher and higher demands for what a great living or renting experience is. And there's a lot that can be done on whether this is, how you design your home, how you keep it in shape, but also how you communicate with tenants. And we have a couple of panels to highlight that further today. And then the last bit is, something I personally care a lot about, and I think nowadays a lot of people do. It's the environmental sustainability of the rental property. Real estate is, I think, one of the biggest net contributors of carbon emissions in the UK, with roughly 30% of all CO2. And I think there's a lot that can be done to reduce this and, help the UK and all other countries reach the target of, being carbon neutral in 2050. And we have a range of really exciting companies today, from Octopus Energy to various others, that will, talk exactly about this topic and like how we can all contribute and help to achieve that target, to have a greener planet, not just for us, but also for the next generation of people. And, if we now review the last few years, I think there's a lot that has already been done to improve the quality of housing, to improve the quality of the tenant experience, whether this is the Tenant Fees Act that came into place in 1st of June 2019, which basically forbid most of the letting fees and, limited or put a cap on the deposit, security deposit. It also regulated like how you would need to deal, certain renewal fees or, other fees that are usually arising. We have a minimum energy rating of E since 1st of April 2020. And from what I've read so far, there's suggestions to decrease this to a minimum energy rating of C in 2025, so about 4 years. From what I remember, the majority of homes are currently on D. And so I think that would greatly benefit also tenants by, having less noise pollution, less or better, isolation, so it's warmer inside, and smaller heating costs. And then also since actually this month, we have the electrical safety standards that require landlords and property managers to do this on an ongoing basis, to make sure that, all the appliances and the general safety of tenants is ensured. Well, so this is basically the intro to the first Tenant Satisfaction Summit. We believe a big shift will happen. We believe that, tenant satisfaction will be one of the core metrics moving forward and will shape this decade of real estate and proptechs. And we have over 50 exciting speakers today that cover around 12 hours of talks and networking. And we have over 1,000 attendees that will come during the day. So in terms of networking, I think, you have the biggest funds and operators that you can network with, whether this is Nuveen, BlackRock, Achilles, and many others. We have the leading real estate agents from the UK here, including Knight Frank, Chesterton, Savills, and Foxtons. And we have many innovative proptech startups, starting with Matterport, Plantific, WeWork, Flatfare, and others, as well as companies like Revolut, Octopus Energy, Hamilton Fraser, Deloitte, Passive House Trust, and hundreds of others that are excited about this panel. So one last thing, in partnership with Loft, you can win £250 to spend on new furniture. The only thing you have to do is basically post a picture of the Tenant Satisfaction Summit and tag us. And you know, the £250 might be yours. So we have a few minutes now break, and we'll continue at 9:30 a.m. With scaling a real estate portfolio without losing track of tenant needs. It was really nice to meet you. And if you want to talk to me or my co-founder later during the day, there's a booth available during the entire day. Thank you.